All right, everyone. Joe Biden has a problem. I mean, he's got a plethora of problems, but one in specific I wanted to talk about. Link in the description, archived, of course. Biden may only be sitting on 32 in the state of Iowa right now. A new poll that was conducted shows Trump already riding at 51, and Joe Biden literally down near 30. This would be a historically bad margin, especially for a re-election bid. You know, you're the incumbent. Iowa has been tacking more and more red, but that kind of number is sort of indicative of the overall national shift. You see about a 5-point shift away from Joe Biden based on results as compared with the 2020 election, which gives a whole bunch of states to Trump, potentially, and certainly makes new battleground states. Well, actually, in some states, it's more like a 10-point shift. Here, though, it looks like it's even more than that. Biden should reliably be predicted to get at least 40, or thereabouts, or at least in the upper 30s. If he's only polling at 32 and that tacking is in the same direction as all the other swing states, Iowa not being one at this point anyway, that just shows the dire reduction in his support overall across the board. I'm looking at the New York polling, which shows Biden up by only 8. In a very reliably blue state, Biden can't crack into the double-digit margin range. I mean, that's phenomenal. I know that New York has become a little bit less solidly blue over the last couple of cycles, with the efforts of Zeldin and others mainly in the MAGA era, but still, the enormous swing that we're seeing could be bigger than the swing that we saw from 2012 to 2016. It could be bigger than that. It could even be bigger than the genuine swing that you did see between 2016 and 2020, which favored in the other direction. Again, you had states that are, it had been reasonably red, which looked kind of in play. When 2020 first rolled around and the first, autopsy was performed, people swore up and down, okay, we're going to see a blue North Carolina. Georgia's now going to be a reliably blue state. We don't have to worry about that campaign there. We think we can pick off Texas and Florida. It should be no problem. Yada, yada, yada. Nobody's saying that now. Not even the most optimistic liberal pundits are claiming any of these things at this point. And the fact is that the Biden administration has been such an abysmal failure on the economy especially, that you're seeing results like this. Biden can't even get a full third of the people of Iowa to support him. Admittedly, again, Iowa is no longer particularly a swing state. It leans fairly heavily red. But that kind of margin, I mean, that's more like what you would see in maybe Wyoming or a place like North Dakota. You're seeing a swing in that direction, and it's because of the existence of populism within the GOP. Number one, and number two, the counterbalance of that against bad economic news, I think. Biden's got a real problem if he's riding that low in a state that, again, is admittedly more on the red side, but shouldn't be that lopsidedly red. And to tell the truth, if you look at the undecided voter margin in there, because there's about a 20-point, there's about 20 points of voters that aren't accounted for, if you would expect only half of them to go to Joe Biden, he'd still get crushed in the state. And that's assuming that he breaks even. That's also assuming that nobody sits it out from him and votes for RFK Jr., who is definitely more on the left wing of politics, and becoming a real problem, by the way, right now for the Biden administration's re-election bid, and that was predictable from the get-go. And originally, it looked like he'd be drawing as many voters from Trump as from Biden. It'd be like 50-50. I think that because of some of his statements, like on abortion and shit, since he's jumped in, RFK Jr. is now picking away more votes from Joe Biden. I don't think it's a huge margin, but maybe like 60-40 or something. Well, yeah, Iowa's really in play. Biden's still, by the way, going to go out to the cornfields and attempt to campaign. And it'll be fucking funny when he does. The last time that he went out to rural America to campaign, this was during the lockdown period. There were times when he had fewer people in attendance listening to him than you had hecklers off by the sidelines honking their horns. In fact, that happened quite routinely. Yes, certainly he got 82 million votes, by the way. Holy guacamole, I would say. 32 points. You can't even get a third of the Iowa electorate to support you. Everyone else is either voting Trump or they're uncommitted at this time, or they're like, yeah, well, that RFK Jr. dude is pretty cool. I like liberal policies, but I don't like Biden. That's basically the cohort voting for RFK Jr. That, or I'm a conservative, but I'm disgruntled that Trump won again because I liked Nikki Haley or something like that. That's RFK Jr.'s voting base, so I don't think Trump has anything to be concerned about on that token. 32 points. Christ, I mean, Jeb Bush would be above 30. I mean, yeah, well, technically he's a Dem now. He'd be above 32 running against Trump, probably in the state. Chuck Schumer could probably pull off better than 32. He'd be looking at least 35, I think, at the moment. Then Nancy Pelosi might do better. Hell, maybe Kamala Harris. Wouldn't that be funny if they did imaginary polling to see where Kamala would be stacking up in the competitive states? Like as not, in some of those states, Kamala Harris would actually be ahead of Joe Biden at this point. She is tarnished by being a member of the administration, but she's also a no-show. She's basically in the background, sort of like a Dick Cheney vice president, and so it's not a big problem for her. That's about all. Peace out.